In August 1947, the British withdrew from the subcontinent. Millions gathered at the Red Fort to celebrate a free India. But the cheering quickly gave way to a violent reality. The physical line drawn to separate India and the newly created state of Pakistan triggered immediate, widespread religious riots. Millions of displaced people fled across the new borders, creating a staggering refugee crisis. The interim government suddenly had to find food, shelter, and jobs for an endless influx of traumatized families. India in 1947 was not yet a functional state. It was a severely wounded region requiring immediate, high-stakes life support to prevent total collapse. Looking at this 1947 map, you see the massive territorial void left by colonial rule. Over 500 semi-independent princely states pockmark the landmass. These posed an existential threat. If they chose independence or joined Pakistan, the nation would physically shatter. To survive, the leadership launched a strategy of triage. They had to secure the borders, establish a unified legal code, and kickstart the economy at once. Without all three of these pillars, the Indian state would physically and politically dissolve. The first priority was the map itself. Integrating the fragmented territories fell to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India. His objective was highly specific: negotiate, persuade, or pressure every single one of those 500-plus princely states to join the Indian Union. Through relentless political maneuvering, Patel successfully merged the scattered territories. This provided the contiguous landmass necessary for a sovereign state to exist. But a unified territory means nothing without functional rules to govern a diverse population. Under the leadership of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the drafting committee built a legal framework. Coming into force in 1950, the Constitution baked secularism, equality, and fundamental rights directly into the law. Almost immediately, the framework hit a friction point: the conflict over declaring a single national language for a country that spoke dozens. This map illustrates the government's dual compromise. First, both Hindi and English were adopted as official languages. Then, in 1956, internal state borders were redrawn entirely to match linguistic lines. The ultimate stress test for these new rules was the first general election in 1951. Against massive logistical odds, millions successfully cast their ballots. By giving citizens a direct vote and institutionalizing compromise, the state effectively absorbed internal ethnic friction and turned it into democratic participation. Still, a country with safe borders and a working constitution can easily collapse from mass starvation and poverty. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru executed a strategy of economic triage through highly structured 5-year plans. The goal was rapid industrialization. The state poured massive resources into domestic manufacturing and immense concrete dams, which Nehru called the temples of modern India. At the same time, the Green Revolution brought modern irrigation and high-yield seeds to agriculture. Crop production surged, cutting the country's reliance on foreign food imports. Because India could finally feed and supply itself, it could afford to remain neutral globally. Nehru spearheaded the non-aligned movement, allowing India to refuse alliances with either the USA or the USSR during the Cold War. Achieving internal economic self-sufficiency and geopolitical neutrality formed an insulating shield around the young democracy, protecting it from external interference. In a matter of decades, a fractured and heavily impoverished colonial region was engineered into a unified democratic state. The country still faced severe tests. Poverty, political disputes, and outright wars continued to challenge the nation, but the core architectural framework held firm. The survival of modern India proves a specific operational reality. Through strategic triage, securing borders, engineering constitutional compromise, and building economic resilience, even the most deeply divided populations can be forged into a lasting nation.